Making butter at home is easier than you think, and all you need is one simple ingredient. Welcome back to Nancy Home. There's something so satisfying about watching a bowl of cream slowly transform into fresh, creamy butter right in your own kitchen. In just about 5 minutes, you'll see that little transformation happen, and along the way, I have a few handy tricks to share with you. Before we start, don't skip this little step. Place your mixing bowl in the freezer for about 10 minutes. A cold bowl helps the heavy cream stay chilled, thicken more smoothly, and makes the whole whipping process easier to manage. This is where the really fun part begins, as the bowl of heavy cream in front of us slowly starts to change. Take the chilled bowl out of the freezer. Then pour in 5 200-milliliter portions of cold, heavy whipping cream, for a total of 1 liter or about 4 1/4 US cups. Add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt for a mild, balanced flavor. Set your hand mixer to medium speed and begin whipping evenly. After a few minutes, you'll notice something recipes rarely mention. Holding a hand mixer continuously can be quite tiring. As a postpartum mother being treated for carpal tunnel syndrome, this step is really uncomfortable for me. So I have a little trick to give my wrist a short break. Place the 2 beaters through the gap in the cooling rack. Then use a tissue box as an extra support to help keep the mixer steady and prevent it from sliding. Slowly lower the mixer into the bowl of cream. Work carefully and always stay right beside it. At this point, your hand can finally get a little rest. Soon the cream will thicken and become soft, fluffy, and smooth, almost exactly like whipped cream. It may look perfect enough to stop right here, but don't. If we were making whipped cream, we would be finished. For butter, we need to keep going. Keep watching closely, because the texture will begin changing quickly. The smooth whipped cream will start looking grainy and uneven. This is the stage that can make people worry they have over-whipped it, but it is exactly what we want. The cream has moved past the whipped cream stage and is getting closer to butter. A little later, pale yellow bits will begin forming. Keep mixing and they will gather into larger clumps while a cloudy white liquid collects at the bottom of the bowl. This change becomes very easy to see. As the cream gets thicker, it may also start splattering out of the bowl. Oh my goodness, the cream is going everywhere, haha. To keep your countertop and clothes a little cleaner, loosely cover part of the bowl with plastic wrap, leaving enough room for the beaters to move safely. Keep the plastic wrap completely away from any moving parts. We just need a light barrier to catch those little splashes of cream. Now lift the plastic wrap and take a look. This is exactly the moment we've been waiting for. Those pale yellow clumps are fresh butter, while the milky white liquid around them is buttermilk. Just a few minutes ago, everything was still smooth, heavy cream. Now it has separated right before our eyes. Once the butter has clearly separated, use a rubber spatula to carefully gather it into one large mass. Then strain the buttermilk into a glass jar. Don't throw it away. You can store it in the refrigerator and use it later for pancakes, biscuits, muffins, or other baked goods. At this point, the butter will still be quite soft and slippery, so I like to put on a pair of clean, food-safe gloves. The gloves help keep the butter from sticking to your hands and make it much easier to gather it together and press it into one solid mass. Gently squeeze out as much of the remaining buttermilk as possible. Then place the butter in a bowl of very cold water with a few ice cubes. Gently press and fold the butter, pour off the cloudy water, then replace it with fresh cold water. Repeat this a few times until the water is almost clear. This helps remove the remaining buttermilk so the butter stays fresh longer. Finally, once the water is clear, gently squeeze the butter one more time. At this point, it's ready to be shaped. Now use parchment paper to shape the butter into a neat block, then wrap it up tightly and neatly. After that, place the butter in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes so it can firm up and reach the texture you want. The butter is ready, but there's a little problem here. Every time you need just a little, the whole block comes out of the refrigerator, the knife gets coated with butter, and the edges quickly start looking messy. That's why I like to portion it before storing. Place a small piece of parchment paper over the knife blade, then press straight down through the butter. The paper keeps the butter from sticking to the knife and helps make a cleaner cut. Once the piece is separated, use that same parchment paper to wrap the butter. Repeat with the rest of the block, then place all the wrapped portions in an airtight container in the refrigerator. The next time you need butter, simply take out one portion and leave the rest clean cold and neatly wrapped. Once your homemade butter is chilled and ready to use, one of the simplest ways to enjoy it is on a warm sandwich. The butter will slowly melt, helping the bread turn beautifully golden and lightly crisp on the outside, while the inside stays soft and warm. You can also use this butter on fresh corn. While the corn is still hot, spread a thin layer of butter over the kernels and let it melt naturally into all the little spaces between them. If you like, you can add a small pinch of salt. Simple, familiar, and even more delicious when you've made the butter yourself. With just a simple bowl of cream and a few minutes in the kitchen, you can make fresh butter to enjoy with your everyday meals. I hope this recipe makes you want to try making a batch of butter at home and enjoy that very first taste as soon as it's finished. When you give it a try, come back and tell me how it turned out in the comments. And if today's video gave you a useful idea for your kitchen, please give it a like and share it with a friend. I'll see you again in the next video.